Continuing to read from chapter 2. On the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Now both Jesus and his disciples were invited to the wedding. And when they ran out of wine, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does your concern have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Whatever he says to do, do it." Now there were set there 6 water pots of stone, according to the manner of purification of the Jews, containing 20 or 30 gallons apiece. And Jesus said to them, "Fill the water pots with water," and they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, "Draw some out now and take it to the master of the feast." And they took it. When the master of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and did not know where it had come from, but the servants who had drawn the water knew, the master of the feast called the bridegroom, and he said to him, "Every man at the beginning sets out the good wine, and when the guests have well drunk, then the inferior. You have kept the good wine until now." This beginning of signs Jesus did in Cana of Galilee, and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. After this he went down to Capernaum, he, his mother, his brothers, his disciples, and they did not stay there many days. Now the Passover of the Jews was at hand, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. And he found in the temple those who sold oxen, sheep, and doves, and the money changers doing business. When he had made a whip of cords, he drove them out of the temple with the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overturned the tables. And he said to those who sold doves, "Take these things away. Do not make my Father's house a house of merchandise." Then his disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house has eaten me up." So the Jews answered and said to him, "What sign do you show to us, since you do these things?" Jesus answered and said to him, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." Then the Jews said, "It has taken 46 years to build this temple, and will you raise it up in 3 days?" But he was speaking of the temple of his body. Therefore, when he had risen from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this to them, and they believed the scripture and the word which Jesus had said. Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover during the feast, many believed in his name when they saw the signs which he did. But Jesus did not commit himself to them, because he knew all men, and had no need that anyone should testify of men, for he knew what was in men. Chapter 2. The first miracle that Jesus did was turning water into wine. And straight away, as someone coming to the Lord, you would think, well, that's impossible. You can't turn water into wine. And this is the reality of the question. Jesus, again and again and again, is going to perform recorded miracles. We know that Jesus is an historical fact, a record. And we have multiple written accounts. And these people that believed in Jesus later on in life had to be even martyred for their faith. They were ordered to offer sacrifices to idols, and they refused to, and were tortured and killed. Now, people don't get tortured and killed for believing in a myth or a legend. Those people were eyewitnesses of what Jesus said and did. And even in chapter 2 here, it says that he performed many miracles, signs and wonders that caused many people to follow him. They're not all recorded here. The only one we have recorded here is the turning of the water into the wine. So the question isn't, did Jesus exist? He did. The question is, can this be relied upon? And do I have the faith to believe that Jesus was God, become a man? So already we're confronted with, he performed a miracle. But another thing that causes a lot of people not to become Christian is about money. Remember how we said, "Take these things away and do not make my Father's house a house of merchandise." You may have been put off by church. Church is like that temple that Jesus, when he threw everybody out and said, "Don't make my house a house of merchandise." If you've been put off with churches because you feel like they chase money and that's all they're after, your money, well, Jesus said the same thing. Get this money out. Don't make my house a house of merchandise. Make my house a house of prayer. God is interested in his relationship with you, that you might pray to him. So let's even now think of how can you pray as somebody who doesn't yet know Jesus? All you need to do is talk. And I would encourage you, this prayer, God, if you are real, I'm praying and asking that you will reveal yourself to me because I want to believe the truth. There are many religions out there, Lord, and how do I know that this is the right one? How do I know that you were God? Please, God, if you are real, show yourself to me and help me to see, know and understand who you are. That's chapter 2.